Well, hello, I'm Dan. It's a pleasure to be presenting to you guys, and I'm going to take you quickly through some lessons that I've learnt from nursing. As might be mentioned, my wife is a nurse, and when we were getting to know each other, she was studying nursing, and there's some great crossovers between nursing and paraplanning, and some of the lessons that we can learn from the way that they assess competency. So we're going to look at three headings quickly today. First, I'm going to look at why I believe that the two professions have got a similar approach. And secondly, we're going to look at show. We're going to see how they demonstrate competence in nursing. And then go, as you guys move into your discussions, going to look at some of the lessons that I think that we can learn from nursing, and perhaps some ways in which that might inform the way we set our professional standards. So firstly, the cornerstone of modern nursing is something called evidence-based nursing. This is how it's defined. Evidence-based nursing is the conscientious, explicit and judicious use of current best evidence in making decisions about the care of individual patients. The practice of evidence-based medicine means integrating individual clinical expertise with the best available external clinical evidence from systematic research. Some of you guys might have noticed the word evidence in there quite a lot, and research, and making decisions based on evidence and research, which I think has parallels for paraplanning. So this grand statement can be broken down a little bit more simply into two outcomes. So firstly, it's about behaviour. It's about making decisions for or about, or more often with, individuals. And secondly, it's about practice. It's about combining the expertise that you've obtained as an individual through your training, your experience, together with external research. So in the medical profession, that would be from teaching hospitals, for example. But this behaviour and this practice that are characteristic of evidence-based nursing all come from this one source, which is evidence-based research. So that sound familiar to you? I would say that paraplanning is evidence-based nursing for your money. We work with individuals to help them make decisions, or at least the financial planners that we work with do, and we also use our expertise from our training, from our exams and our experience, and also external research and information in order to help these individuals make decisions. So given these similarities, I thought that it might be worthwhile taking a quick look at how nursing looks to assess competency and see what lessons we can learn. So this brings us to show. Show is about demonstrating competence. How do we show that we know and can apply? How do we do this in an evidence-based way? So the nursing professional standards are looked after by the Nursing and Midwifery Council, the NMC, which is made up of primarily nurses. They've got this absolutely excellent diagram, which I love, and it explains how their standards work. The bit that I think is really important for us to see is this outer circle that talks about learning, and you'll notice that this standard, so this is from their standards for competence for registered nurses, is split pretty much 50-50, equal weighting between theory and practice. So this is a national standard that defines competence for competence and essential skills for nurses at a national level. So let's have a look at these two parts, the theory and the practice. So how do they deal with theory? Theory is about academic study, so that's often delivered in a university setting, and that will be looking at things like anatomy, practice, ideas, infection control, and that be assessed through essay writing and examinations typically. Those of you who have been through some kind of academic study, be it university or college, will kind of have a rough idea of how these things are delivered, and it's much the same way for nursing. And so it's similar to the way we as paraplanners might take exams, those of us who have been following the diploma route and the chartered certified routes. So the practice part is achieved in real life, on real wards and units with real patients, and it gets the student real experience and validates their knowledge. They put their theory into practice. So you're working with real nurses, you're experiencing the profession firsthand. The special thing about the way nursing standards assess this element, the practice, is the use of mentors. So mentors in this context are specially trained and supported individuals. They're nurses who are working on the units, they're working with the students, and they sign off the skills that have been achieved by the student, and where they're not being achieved or they need to gain experience to achieve them, they help the student to put plans into place to do that. So nursing students will be familiar with a document like this. This is a document that is used to assess the practice element. It's standardised across universities, as you'll see. This is from the University of Hertfordshire, but quite a few of the London universities have got together about it, and it is a substantial part of demonstrating that you've achieved the standards that the NMC, the Nursing Midwifery Council, has set out. So let's have a quick look in a bit more detail at this document, which looks at the practical side. So the practice assessment document, which looks at, firstly, skills and behaviours. So skills and behaviours is looking at your knowledge and understanding first, which is, do you know and understand what you are doing? Can you apply your academic knowledge to the practice of nursing? Which is quite straightforward. The second part is your professional attitude. Do you behave in a professional manner? How do you conduct yourself in practice? Trust is exceptionally important for nursing, as I can guess you would imagine that you wouldn't want someone treating you who didn't appear professional and trustworthy. So it makes sense that actually that's part of their practice assessment. And then participation in practical care, that is, are you actually able to do the job? There are certain tasks that you need to be a registered nurse to do that aren't allowed to be performed by other individuals in the healthcare profession. So you've got to be able to actually do the job. So this is then signed off by your named mentor. The mentors have been trained and supported, so they're being equipped to do this sign-off. They've been equipped to develop the students and help them to gain confidence to be a valuable part of a real ward when they qualify. Their mentors are, as I said, are existing nurses, and they are working in partnership with students to help them achieve and demonstrate competency. So here's a sample from the document that I showed you. A couple of things I'd like you to notice. Hopefully your screens are big enough that you can see this, but at the top of each section you can see there's an overarching principle for each set of skills. So if we were to look at the top skill on there from this page, it says that people can trust the adult nursing student to assess and monitor their nutritional status and in partnership formulate an effective plan of care. So this is the overarching principle, and then that's broken down into some actual more practical things. So as can they take and record accurate measurements of weight, height, length, etc., which would then be developed to a secondary skill of can they assess the baseline nutritional requirements for this healthy person relating to factors such as their age, mobility, and can they put together an effective care plan. What I'd like you to notice particularly is that these overarching principles all start with this same phrase: people can trust the adult nursing student too, ... And there are, as you can see, there are a lot of these skills that they need to be signed off on over their time, their 3 years at university. But all of these principles start with, can they trust? And the mentor will fill in the appropriate boxes on this to say when and whether the competency has been achieved. And this document provides a volume of evidence that they have these skills that are required. And the interesting thing that I found out, which has changed since my wife took her studies, was that they now ask their patients or their end users, their clients, whether they are achieving on this issue of trust. So the patients are asked to give feedback about how the nurse behaved. Were you happy with the way they cared for you? Did they listen to you? Did you feel that they understood the way you felt? Did they talk to you? Were you treated with respect? So it's not just about skills. Actually, quite fundamentally to nursing professional standards is this issue of trust. So having seen how they go about evidencing their skills and their professional standards through a combination of academics and mentor-based sign-off, we move into our last section, Go. I want to pick out 2 lessons that we can learn from nursing as we consider professional standards for paraplanning. And then I've made some suggestions about how might that look. So let's go. So the first lesson I want you to learn is people can trust the. And the whole basis of nursing-based standards is centred on this idea of trust. Trust is central. Patients must trust the nurses and other healthcare professionals, be it doctors, pharmacists, whatever. They need to be able to trust the nurse. And ultimately in nursing, the care is not just about the doctor, it's about the team that is looking after the patient or the service user. So I think our paraplanning standards need to be centred on trust. Clients need to be able to trust us. And other financial planning professionals, indeed actually other professionals, need to be able to trust us. There'll be occasions where we're liaising with advisors, paraplanners, administrators, other paraplanners, maybe a client's solicitor or their accountant. Those relationships need to be based on trust. So I think trust is quite important. Hopefully you've got that. And evidence-based. Nursing standards are built on evidence. The thing that we've looked at, that document, is considered to be the basic requirement for a newly registered staff nurse. As they progress, there are opportunities for promotion and specialisation, with and without new titles. This is a baseline. So nursing standards are built on evidence. These baseline standards are built on evidence. Evidence-based practice informs how they do and what they do. Exams evidence that they've got the knowledge of the theory. And the mentor-based assessments gives evidence that they are competent, that they can do the job practically. So I think that our paraplanning standards should, to a certain extent, be evidence-based. Our standard needs to give evidence that we have the knowledge. We need to know what we're talking about. We need to have evidence that we have the skills. And that's really important. You need to be able to know that if you're taking on a paraplanner as an employer, that they can actually do the job, that they've got the skills required to do it. And crucially, we need evidence that we have trust, or that we can be trusted. Ultimately, these clients are trusting us with their financial futures. It's not quite as life and death as in the medical profession, but it's still very important that we are trusted. So trust and evidence-based. And so before you move into your groups and discuss how the standards might work and some of the issues around it that Richard's raised, or that your session leaders raised, here's my suggestion of how our paraplanning professional standards might possibly work. So first, the evidence that we have the knowledge would be one of the three pillars that I'd say. And actually, I think that our current exam routes are probably sufficient. And I'm sure that you will discuss the specific paraplanning examinations that are available from both CISI and the PFS. But my personal view is actually that the series of RO exams and AF exams and the CFP, they are more than sufficient for demonstrating that we have the knowledge. I don't think we need more exams. So the second pillar that I would suggest would be some kind of evidence that we have the skills. So firstly, we need to define at a national level what are the essential skills of a paraplanner. Now this kind of suggests that we might need to have different levels of paraplanner. Maybe a new entry paraplanner, a qualified paraplanner possibly, and a senior paraplanner, or maybe specialisms for paraplanners, a specialist pension transfer paraplanner perhaps. It's up for debate, but those standards should be set at a national level. And I think we need to have a very clear system of assessment. My preference would be this mentor-based sign-off. You need people who can show that you can do the job, that you have got the skills. I don't think this could be very well assessed in an examination setting. But this does lead to us to a few complications in that we need to have some kind of training in place for these mentors. They need to maybe have some form of accreditation to be mentors, to demonstrate that they are assessing to the agreed standards, which opens up the question of, well, who provides this accreditation, who provides this training, and ultimately who pays for it? And then how do we verify this evidence? How can we test that people are actually achieving these skills? And then lastly, my third pillar of our paraplanning standard would be evidence that we can trust. And actually I quite like the patient feedback idea. We could look to get some evidence from our clients or from the people that we're working with. I think it'd be really powerful if we make a stand and say that actually one of the core things about paraplanning is that we are trusted. Our professional standard is on trust. We could obtain this evidence separately, or we could use the existing codes of conduct that our professional bodies have that we sign up to as members. So those would be my three pillars of paraplanning, but I think they kind of need to be underlaid by this foundation of continuous professional development. I'm sure that some of you would have taken exams many years ago, and things change. Test date pensions, they've changed almost beyond recognition in recent years. So it's really important that we keep up to date with knowledge, that we learn new skills, because the skills that we need to do our job will be changing all the time. There'll be new technology that we need to use, new ways of analysing data, new ways of presenting. So we need a programme of relevant CPD. Well, I hope that these have provoked some questions, some thoughts for your discussions, and I really do look forward to hearing how your sessions went. Do tweet me, or I look forward to speaking to you at the online powwow later this month. Thank you very much.